हेलो एवरीवन। नमस्कार, मैं कीर्ति पांडे आपके साथ आई हूँ यूपीएससी प्री की वीडियो लेकर एनटीपीसी हिस्ट्री की तैयारी कराने। आइए देखिए कंटेंट्स क्या है हमारा। लेसन 1, अर्ली इंडिया फ्रॉम द बेगिंग्स टू द इंडस सिविलाइजेशन। ये हमारे चैप्टर से 11। धीरे धीरे हम लोग एक एक दिन पे एक एक चैप्टर कंप्लीटेड करेंगे, ठीक है। आई होप आपको मेरी वीडियो समझ में आएगी। जो लोग भी हैं अपने अच्छे से तैयारी करें, एग्ज़ाम की तैयारी करते हैं। देखिए हमें इसमें क्या पढ़ना है लर्निंग ऑब्जेक्टिव्स में। To know the Stone Age humans of India, to understand the Paleolithic and Mesolithic socialists of India, to learn the importance of Neolithic evolution, to have knowledge on salient features of the Indus culture. क्या होता है? Introduction. India have experienced an early development of cultures and civilization. सभी को मालूम है कि इंडिया के पास बहुत सारे डेवलपमेंट किए उसने कल्चर एंड सिविलाइजेशन को। सिंस द ओल्ड स्टोन एज सेवरल ग्रुप्स इन इंडिया हैड migrated multiple times and made culture adaptations to diverse eco zones. Correctly है. Each groups evolved its own culture responding to their living experience in each places, which eventually led to pluralistic belief and system. From a life to foraging through nomadic pastoralism, the settlers in Indus region reached a matured stage of living in the Bronze Age. This chapter focuses on the history of India from the first settlement of humans in the Stone Age. करेक्ट है कि फर्स्ट सेटलमेंट इन ह्यूमन है जो स्टोन एज में क्या है ये बताया जाएगा इस हिस्ट्री में। up to the decline of the Indus civilization, it dwells on the न्यूलिथिकल कल्चर एज वेल। सोर्सेज क्या थे इस चीज़ के भाई? आर्कियोलॉजिकल सोर्सेज फ्रॉम द bedrock of information for us understand this long span of time in Indian history. They include archaeological sites, geological sediments, animal bones and fossils, stone tools, bone tools, rock paintings, and artifacts. There is no written evidence for this period. इस periods में हम लोगों के पास भी कोई भी written evidence नहीं था. Although the Hierophants used a script, it is yet to be deciphered. The faunal, animal, and floral sources are important for understanding the relationship of the Stone Age people with their environment. आपको बता दें कि पहले के टाइम में इंसान एनिमल एंड प्लांट्स के सोर्सेज से ही अंडरस्टैंड करता था अपने रिलेशनशिप को environment में. Floral evidence found in the form of chariot seeds, pollen, and phytoliths plant stone help us to gain knowledge of farming practiced by Stone Age people. The human genes also constitute an important source for understanding prehistoric migrations. The mitochondrial DNA, mtDNA जिसे कह सकते हैं, studies provide information on prehistoric migrations. Scientists are trying to extract ancient DNA from the bones of prehistoric era to understand human dispersals. Language is another important source of India. Indo-Aryan, Dravidian, Austroasiatic, and Tibeto-Burman languages families have flourished in India. These languages developed and evolved during the various phases of migration in Indian history. देखिए लैंग्वेज इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट सोर्स ऑफ इंडिया, जैसे कि इंडो आर्यन, ड्राविडियन, एस्ट्रोएसिटिक, टिबेटो बर्मन लैंग्वेजेस काफ़ी आई हमारे इंडिया में, ठीक है। आइए प्री हिस्टोरिक इंडिया क्या है? द पीरियड बिफोर द डेवलपमेंट ऑफ स्क्रिप्ट इज कॉल्ड द प्री हिस्टोरिक टाइम्स. It is also referred to as the Stone Age. When we talk about the Stone Age, we include the entire South Asia को, the region covering India, Pakistan है, Sri Lanka, Nepal and Bangladesh as a whole. Word को हमने लिया. Human ancestors are likely to have first evolved in Africa and later migrated to different parts of the world. The earliest human ancestor species to migrate out of Africa was the Homo erectus. Till the end of the 20th century, the prehistory of India was considered to have begun with the time span of 1 million years. MYR का mean है ये ago. But recent investigations have produced evidence for the presence of human ancestors in India between 2 million and 1 million years ago. Generally, the period before the invention of script is broadly divided into Stone Age, Bronze Age and Iron Age. ठीक है, तीन चीज़ों में डिवाइड किया गया है यहाँ पर, स्टोन एज, ब्रोंज एज एंड आयरन एज. Hence the names of material that they used, for example painted grey, where culture on Iron Age culture है, और the geographical region है Indus of the first site to be identified, for example है Aqualian on Harappan are used to name the cultures. हड़प्पा सभ्यता जिसे हम कहते हैं. The earliest age in history is called Old Stone Age and Paleolithic, this age divides into lower Paleolithic culture, middle Paleolithic culture, upper Paleolithic culture. थ्री चीज़ में डिवाइडेड है. The period after the old stone age Paleolithic is called the Mesolithic age. The period of the followed the Mesolithic is called the Neolithic age. This is the age in which animal and plant domestication developed, leading to food production. The classification of this culture is done on the basis of stratigraphic, chronological and lithic stone tool evidence था इसमें. लोअर पैथोलिटिक कल्चर क्या था? The earliest lithic artifacts come from different parts of the Indian subcontinent. During the lower Paleolithic culture, जैसे wild and domestic क्या है? Wild plants and animals grow naturally and independently. When they are domestically, their lifestyle and physical characteristics such as self-propagation change. Consequently, the seeds of domestic plants become smaller in size. In the case of domesticated animals, they lose their Fourioconsinus. हमारी लास्ट लाइन क्या थी यहाँ पे? सॉरी, कल्चर. यहाँ पे है कल्चर की बात हो रही थी. कल्चर फेज ह्यूमन एंसेस्टर्स स्पेसीज ऑफ होमो erectus is believed to have lived in India. The first Paleolithic tools were identified at the site of Pallavaram near Chennai by Robert Bruce Wood in 1863. He found many prehistoric sites when he extensively surveyed different parts of South India. Since then, numerous Paleolithic sites have been identified and excavated all over India. Lithic tools होते क्या हैं? What is lithic tools? The study of prehistory mainly depends upon lithic tools. Prehistoric sites are identifiable based on the presence of stone tools. Human ancestors made large stone blocks and pebbles and chipped tools out of them. Using another strong stone, hand axes, इसमें हैंडमेड था हमारा, हैंड एक्सेस था, क्लाइवर्स था, चॉपर्स यूज होते थे, एंड द लाइक वर डिजाइन इन दिस वे बाय फ्लैकिंग ऑफ द चिप्स. द टूल शो वेल थ्रू आउट डिजाइन एंड फिजिकल सिमेट्री एंड कन्वेरी हाई क्वालिटी cognitive perception skills and capabilities of prehistoric humans में. They used the tools for hunting, ये यूज़ करते थे hunting के लिए, butchering के लिए and skinning the animals के लिए, breaking the bones for bone marrow and to recover tubers and plant foods and for processing food. The industries of Paleolithic culture are divided into the early, middle and late Aquilian industries में. The early Aquilian tools include polyhedron, spheroids, hand axes, cleavers and the flock tools. The Aquilian tradition is absent in the Western Ghats, coastal areas and northeastern India heavy rainfall. अब क्या है आपका Aquilian and Suhanian? देखिए, rainfall is attributed to its absence. ठीक है. Congenial condition and lack of raw materials might have prevented the occupation of these areas. Perhaps there was no necessity for the prehistoric people to move into these areas. These sites are found more in central India and southeastern part of India near Chennai की पड़ेगा. These areas receive high rainfall and are therefore endowed with thick green cover and rich sources. Distribution कहाँ कहाँ था इसका? Lower Paleolithic tools are found in most parts of India except in few regions of the Ganges Valley, southern Tamil Nadu and in the hilly areas of the Western Ghats. Athirampakkam, Pallavaram and Gudiyam near Chennai, Hanski Valley and Isampur in Karnataka and Bhimbetka in MP are some important Paleolithic sites where the Aquilian tools are found. Chronology. What is chronology? Recent research places the beginning of Lower Paleolithic around 2 million years ago. This culture continued up to 60,000 years ago. What is Aquilian and Suhanian? Based on research, two independent culture traditions of hard axe Aquilian and pebble flake Suhanian industries were confirmed in India. Aquilian industry mainly had hand axes and cleavers. Then the Sohan industry is considered to have used only chopper and chopping tools. The Sohan industry gets its name from the Sohan River Valley of Pakistan. These two cultural traditions are not considered distinct any longer. Recent studies argue that these were no independent Shohan tradition as equivalent tools are found in the Sohan industries as well. Hominin and animal fossils. Unlike Africa, evidence of hominin immediate ancestor of Homo sapiens fossil is rare in India. There is a report of a fossil fragment discovered by Robert Bruce Wood from Athirapakkam. Its whereabouts are not known now. The only well-known hominins fossil of India was found at Hathnora. 1 minute. Found at Hathnora near Hoshangabad in Madhya Pradesh, MP. The cranium is named Narmada human. A partly preserved homicide skull cap was found in a basalt conglomerate deposit in 1982. It is considered to represent the archaic Homo sapiens. It is the only existing fossil find of human ancestors in India. Animal fossils are used to understand the paleo environment context in which people lived in the Narmada Valley. Animal fossils or Alpha Nemades giant tusked prehistorical elephant Stegodon ganesha, a giant prehistorical elephant, Bos nomadics, wild cattle, and Equus nomades extinct great horse-like animals have been recovered. Teeth of Equus, evidence of water buffalo and nilgai, as well as 17 animals' hoof prints have been uncovered at Athirapakkam. अतिरापक्कम में 17 एनिमल्स हूफ प्रिंट्स पाए गए हैं. देखिए साइन है. एनिमल्स नेफर्डिस नेपाल में है. बोस नेमाडिस्कस हैथीनोरा आर्किंग होमोस्पेनिसिस फॉसिल स्कल फ्रैगमेंट है. ये सब सिग्नेचर है. दिस सजेस्ट एन ओपन वेट लैंडस्केप नियर द चेन्नई रीजन इन द प्री हिस्टोरिक पीरियड. इक्वास क्या है? इक्वास रिफर्स टू द जेन्यू ऑफ एनिमल इंक्लूडिंग हॉर्सेस, एसेस एंड ज़ेब्रास में. वे ऑफ लाइफ क्या थी इन लोगों की? द पीपल ऑफ लोअर पैथोलिटिक कल्चर hunted animals and gathered roots, nuts, and fruits. They fed on the flesh and bones of animals killed by predators. They lived in open air, river valleys, caves, and rock shelters, as seen from evidence in भीमबेटका में. हमें इनके पाया जाता है. भीमबेटका का एमपी में. एंड गुडियम नियर चेन्नई, गुडियम में भी पाया जाता है. द प्री हिस्टोरिकल ह्यूमन एंसेस्टर्स वो बिलोंग टू द स्पीसीज ऑफ होमो इरेक्टस did not have a complex language culture like does the Homo sapiens. They may have expressed a few sounds or words or used a sign language. They were intelligent enough to select stones as raw material. Raw material के तौर पे stone को select and use the hammer stone to carefully flack and locks and designs tool. Middle Paleolithic culture क्या था? After about 4 lakh years PP before present है. Changes took place in the Lithic language. Lithic technology and the species of human ancestors diverged. These species of Homo erectus existed in the period. Some of the Middle Paleolithic tools are attributed to behavioral modernity. Anatomically, modern humans are said to have emerged around 3 lakh years ago. In India, the Middle Paleolithic phase was first identified by H.D. Shankilia on the Pravara River at Nivasa. After the discovery, several sites of this period have been identified. Recently, the Middle Paleolithic of Athirapakkam is dated to be around 3.85 to 1.72 lakh years BP. Indian Middle Paleolithics probably may be as old as the Africa Middle Paleolithic culture. Industries and tool types क्या थे इसमें? The tool types of the Middle Paleolithic period are hand axes, cleavers, choppers, chopping tools, scrapers, bores and points. Projectile points or shoulders point are knives on flakes. Flake industry was predominant in the Middle Paleolithic periods, and tools such as scrapers, point, and boards were made. Scrapers were used for wood and skin working. Chronology: the Middle Paleolithic culture in India is dated between 385,000 and 40,000 BCE, while the Africa Middle Stone Age is still associated with Homo sapiens. It is associated with the Neanderthals in Europe. No hominin fossil bones of these species have been found in India. Distribution: the Middle Paleolithic sites are found in Narmada, Godavari, Krishna, Yamuna and other river valleys के पास पाए गए थे. Ways of life and main characters क्या था? The Middle Paleolithic people occupied open-air cave and rock shelter sites. They were hunter-gatherers. The main feature of the Indian Middle Paleolithic period include the following. First, the tools become smaller. छोटे होने लगे थे. The decrease in the use of hand axes in relationship to other tools. हाथ की कुल्हाड़ी का थोड़ा कम यूज़ होने लगा था. यूज़ ऑफ कोर प्रिपरेशन टेक्निक्स इन स्टोन टूल प्रोडक्ट. यूज़ ऑफ चर्ट, जैस्पर, कैलकोडोनी एंड क्वार्ट्ज एज रॉ मटेरियल इन लोगों ने यूज़ करने स्टार्ट किया था. अपर पैथोलॉटिक कल्चर क्या था? द कल्चर फेज दैट फॉलोइंग द मिडल पैथोलॉटिक इज कॉल्ड अपर पैथोलॉटिक. दिस पीरियड इज मार्क्ड बाय innovation in tool technology and increased cognitive capability of humans. The modern humans were first involved in sub-Saharan Africa sometimes before 3 lakhs years ago, migrated to and occupied various parts of Asia around 16,000 years ago. They probably replaced the earlier population. There is a possibility that these new groups were responsible for the upper Paleolithic culture of India. Lithic tools and industry. The lithic industry of the upper Paleolithic period is based on the blade and bone tool technology. इन्होंने blade and bone tool का यूज़ करने स्टार्ट किया था. Microliths, tiny stone tools were introduced in the upper Paleolithic periods. And those tools were made using different varieties of सिलिका रिच रॉ मटेरियल. सिलिका से इन्होंने जो रिच मटेरियल है उससे इन्होंने इसका निर्माण किया था. बोन टूल्स एंड फनल रिमेन्स हैव बीन फाउंड इन कर्नूल केव्स इन आंध्र प्रदेश. कुर्नूल में ये पाए गए थे आंध्र प्रदेश में, जो कि पड़ता है. व्हाट इज द क्रोनोलॉजी इज अपर केस कंडीशन. द अपर पैथोलॉटिक कल्चर इज रिप्रेजेंटेड इन इंडिया एट several sites. A time bracket of c 14,000 years to 10,000 year BP is suggested for the period. Distribution. The people of this period used caves as well as open air space for living. Meralabbi in Karnataka, Kurnool caves and Godavari Khani in Telangana, Baghori and Baghor first and Baghor third of Sun Valley in Madhya Pradesh and Patni in Maharashtra are some of the upper Paleolithic sites in India. Sri Lanka has evidence of macroliths and hominin fossils. Increased ostrich eggshell and shell and stone beads have been found at Jabalpuram in Andhra Pradesh, Patni and Maharashtra, and Batdomba, Lena and Fahin cave in Sri Lanka. An upper Paleolithic shrine care. An interesting find is of a possible shrine indicated by a block of sandstone surrounded by a rubber circle similar to the contemporary shrines found at Baghor in Uttar Pradesh. It is the earliest known evidence of a shrine in India. Triangular stone from upper Paleolithic shrine. ट्रायंगल शेप इसमें पाई गई थी. ट्रायंगुलर स्टोन था. सिमिलर स्टोन इन अ कंटेम्प्रेरी श्रेन. व्हाट इज द ऑस्ट्रिच एग शेल हमारे पास पाई थी, जिसे हम शुतुरमुर्ग कहते हैं, उसका भी शेल पाया गया था. एविडेंस ऑफ ऑस्ट्रिच हैज़ बीन फाउंड इन सम प्री हिस्टोरिकल साइट्स इन इंडिया. द एग शेल ऑफ दिस बर्ड हैड बीन यूज्ड एज beads and those from Patni have been dated to 25,000 BP. They are found in Bhimbetka and Patni. Ways of life and main characters. Evidence of art in the upper Paleolithic periods appears in the form of pending beads and ornaments of this period have also been found. The lithic blade industry advanced in this period. Some of the green color paintings of Bhimbetka are dated to upper Paleolithic period based on style and archaeological evidence. What is the Mesolithic culture? Mesolithic sites are found in most parts of India. They occur in all ecozones from the coast of to the hills, sand dunes, rock shelters, deltaic regions, lake areas, forested terraces, hilly and mountainous areas, rocky terrains, and coastal environments. Mesolithic sites in India are found in Peshra, Bihar में, लागंज गुजरात है, बागोर सेकंड, चौपानी, मांडो, शराई नहर, राय, Mahadaha and Damdama, all in UP. Sanka, uh, Sankanakallu, and Kebanahalli, Karnataka. Rock shelter sites are found in Lekhakia, Baghaikor, Adamgarh, and Bhimbetka. Coastal sites are seen at Mumbai Teri sites of Thoothukudi in Tamil Nadu and Vishakhapatnam, which have microlithic evidence. What is the Teri? A coastal landscape caused by sand dunes. The soils may have originated in the Pleistocene epoch of Quaternary period. Climate. After the Ice Age, with the advent of global warming, human groups became highly mobile and began to occupy various ecozones. The monsoon pattern had already emerged. Some regions witnessed higher rainfall. At Didwana in western Rajasthan, freshwater lakes were known to exist between 10,000 and 3,500 BP. The animal bones from this period suggest a dry deciduous type of forest during the Mesolithic period. Chronology. The date of Mesolithic culture varies in different parts of the India. This culture is assigned to pre-agriculture times in certain areas. In Levant, Eastern Mediterranean, they are dated between 20,000 and 9,500 BCE. In India, Mesolithic culture appeared around 10,000 BCE in certain parts of India, including Kerala and Tamil Nadu. It continued up 10,000 BCE till the beginning of the Iron Age in Sri Lanka. The microliths appeared about 28,500 years BP. What is the economy? Hunting wild animals and gathering plants food for and fishing were people's main occupation during this age. Agriculture was not practiced in the early stages. At the end of the Mesolithic period, humans domesticated animals and paved the way for the Neolithic way of life. The rock painting of central India depict hunting, trapping, fishing, and plant food collection. The faunal evidence from this period showed that people belonging to this period hunting cattle, gaur, buffalo, barasingha, pork, upsin, sambar, cheetal, gazelle, hog, deer, nilgai, jackal, terns, fish, wild hare, lizard, fox, and monitor lizard bones and rhinoceros and elephant have also been found. मतलब इस पीरियड में हमने काफ़ी सारे एनिमल्स को फाउंड किया था. They used spears, bow and arrow and traps. The painting of Bhimbetka show that various animals were hunted and for this man and woman went together. The people used fire and perhaps roasted food. इस काल में लोगों ने आग को जलाना उसमें खाने को पकाना सीखा. Domestic animals, bones of cattle, sheep, goats, pig and dog have been found at Cannibal, Loteshwar and Ratanpur and from Adamgarh and Bhimbetka in Madhya Pradesh sites. Camel bones have been found from Cannibal. Camps and houses. The Mesolithic people were highly mobile. They moved in search of animals and plant food. They made temporary huts and also used caves and rock shelters. Circular huts with baselitors and burnt clay lamp bearing reed impressions have been found. Many of caves and shelters features painting. Circular huts are seen in rock painting. The temporary huts were built using perishable materials. Traces of oval and circular huts and possible wattle dog are found in Chopani, Mando and Damdama in Uttar Pradesh and Bagor and Tilwara in Rajasthan. Burials. The Mesolithic people buried the dead, which suggested their beliefs and human relationship. Human skeletons have been found in Mahadaha, Damdama and Sarai Nahar Rai in Uttar Pradesh. At Mahadaha, a man and a woman were buried together. One burial had an ivory pendant as the gravewood art. Art is an integral part of human existence, which evidence of art is found in Europe in large volume. They are found only at a few sites in India. A chart stone used as a core had geometrical engravings from Chandravati in Rajasthan, bone objects from Bhimbetka and human tooth engraved with geometric reason. Rock paintings are found in the rock shelters of Madhya Pradesh and central India. They show people hunting, trapping animals, and fishing and dancing. Bhimbetka near Bhopal, Raisan and Panchmarahi in Madhya Pradesh and South Mirzapur in Uttar Pradesh are some of the cities. Hematite and iron rich stone which trace of rubbing has been found. These peoples might have decorated themselves with flowers and leaves. Hunter and gatherers of this historical period, the hunters and gatherers using Microlithic tools continued to live in the later period even after the development of Neolithic, Iron Age, and historical periods. Perhaps they become part of the marginalized communities when the people who lived in the cities acquired more wealth. Some of the people who live in the forest even today in some remote areas and also in the Andaman region could be considered as those people who prefer to live by hunting and gathering. Many such groups lived in the 19th and 20th century as recorded in the Irgat Turtsan's castes and tribes of southern India, describing them as primitive and incorrect. This should be considered as people who preferred to live by hunting and gathering when the Indus civilization was in its peak. Tamil Nadu had microlithic hunter-gatherers. The Andhra Karnataka region had the agro-pastoralists of the Neolithic period. Characteristics of the Mesolithic cultures. The Mesolithic people lived in semi-permanent and temporary settlements. Second, they occupied caves and open grounds. They buried the dead. They had artist skills. They were spread over wider geographical region. Culture continuity is noticed in many parts of India from this period. These microlithic tools enabled them to hunt smaller animals and birds. Early Neolithic cultures and the beginning of agriculture. The Neolithic period marked the beginning of agriculture and animal domestications. It is an important phase in Indian history. Early evidence of Neolithic culture is found in the fertile Cretaceous region of Egypt and Mesopotamia, the Indus region, the Ganges Valley of India, and also in China between 10,000 BCE to 5000 BCE. Agriculture emerged in this region, which led to the several cultural developments. This is the of the Neolithic culture. मैंने जितने भी अभी तक नाम लिए हैं सारे के सारे आपको दिख रहा होगा। मेहरगढ़, क्वेटा, गुवाहाटी, दौजली हेडिंग, सरौगढ़ी, चिरान, पटना, बड़ौदी, कुचा, भुवनेश्वर, नागपुर. Neolithic sites of India. The introduction of the domestication of animals and plants resulted in the production and supply of a large quantity of grains and animals food. The fertile soil deposits by the rivers enhanced the growth of agriculture, generating a surplus of grains. Surplus food production played a major role in the rise of early civilization. Large villages came to exist and poetry developed. Permanent residences were built, hence the cultural development of this period are called Neolithic Revolution. The Neolithic cultures of India are divided into various regional cultures and they flourished in different time periods. In the northwestern part of India and Pakistan, it began at a very early date. In northeastern India, Neolithic culture appeared at a very late date around the early historical time. The Neolithic culture of northwestern India. The Neolithic culture of northwestern India is the earliest to have evidence of plant and animal domestication in India. Mehergarh, Rana Gundai, Saraikela, and Jalipur are some of the Neolithic sites. These sites are now situated in Pakistan. The site of Mehergarh has produced evidence of early Neolithic times dating to c. 7000 BCE. Wheat and barley were cultivated and sheep, goat, and cattle were domesticated. This culture preceded the Indus civilization. The first culture period, the Neolithic age at Mehergarh, date from c. 7000 to 5500 to BCE. The people belonging to this age did not use pottery but cultivated 6 row barley, immer, and incorn, wheat, jujube, elanthai, and dates, and also domesticated sheep, goat, and cattle. They were semi-nomadic pastoral groups. They built their houses with mud and buried the dead. They used ornaments of shell, limestone, turquoise, lapis lazuli, and sandstone. The period second at the Mehergarh dates from 5500 to 4800 BC, and the period third from 4800 to 3500 BC. This is evidence for pottery during this period. Terracotta figuring and glazed faience beads have been found. Evidence for ornaments or women has been uncovered. Long distance trains were practiced as revealed by lapis lazuli, which is available only in Badak Shah, the town was abandoned after the rise of mature phase of the Indus civilization. The Neolithic culture of Kashmir. Neolithic culture in Kashmir region was contemporary to the Harappa civilization. Burzahom, an important site of this culture, provides evidence for the megalithic and early historic period. In this place, people lived in pit house about 4 meters in depth. In order to escape the cold weather, the houses were oval in shape, wide at the bottom and narrow on the top. Past walls used construction at that structure were found around the pit house. The Neolithic period of Kashmir had domestic sheep, goat, and civilization plant. The Neolithic people of Burzahom trade with the people of the Harappa civilization. They had used handmade pottery. They used tools such as stone axe, chisels, adzes, foundries, mace hands, points, and pickers. Owls were used for stitching skins into cloths to beat the wears. Weathers scrapers were used to working the skins. Two phases of Neolithic culture have been identified. They are termed academic and ceramic phases. Academic and ceramic. Academic phase did not have evidence of ceramics. Ceramics phase shows evidence for the existence of pottery. In the ceramics phase, people built mud house. They used copper arrowheads. They also used black ware pottery, beads of agate and cerulean, and painted pottery. A furnace at the site produced wild dog bone and another horn. An engraving of a hunting scene is depicted on a stone here with dog and sun. Seeds of wheat, barley, common pea, and lentil have been recovered from the excavation. People domesticated animals include cattle, sheep, goat, pig, dog, and fowl. Bones of wild animals such as rat deer, Kashmir stag, ibex, bear, and wolf suggest that they hunted animals. Early density in the Neolithic Mehergarh. The human ancestors had knowledge of the medicines, herbs, and were capable of taking care of health for survival from the prehistoric times. As their ways of life changed, new diseases appeared and they had to find remedies. From the Neolithic period, people began to eat ground grain and cooked food, which caused dental and other health problems. The earliest evidence for drilling human tooth of a living person has been found at Mehergarh. Is seen as a produce to density. There is evidence of menhirs and a use of redware pottery and metal objects in the Megadithic culture. The use of lentil suggests that contacts had been established with Central Asia. These people had interactions with Harappa civilization. The Neolithic culture of Ganges Valley and Central India. In the Ganga Valley and in Central India, Neolithic sites are found at Lahore Lahore Deva and Chaupani Munda. The sites of Lahore Deva has produced early evidence in the rice cultivation dated to c. 6500 BCE. These sites are characterized by gold market pottery, Gold Diva, Chiran, Sanwar, and Mehagara are important Neolithic sites in this region. These sites also have evidence of pottery and plant and animals domestication, evidence for the cultivation of hulled and six rowed barley, several types of wheat, rice, pea, green gram and chicken pea, mustard, flax, linseed, and jackfruit have been found at the sites of Central India. Sheep, goat, and cattle bones have been found besides bones of wild animals. The Neolithic people used a type of pottery with gold impression on the surfaces. They used microlith bone and antler tools and terracotta objects. These sites perhaps flourished till about the middle of the second millennium BCE. The Neolithic culture of Eastern India. The Neolithic sites are found at many sites in Bihar and West Bengal. Birbanpur and Chirand are some of the prominent Neolithic sites in the region, along with Kuchai, Golbaisai, and Sankarjang. These cultures show similarities with the Neolithic complex of East and Southeast India. Pointed butts, cards, and chisels and shouldered axes have been found in their region from the Neolithic era. Neolithic culture of South India. The Neolithic culture of South India have been found mainly in Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka and the northern western part of Tamil Nadu. These sites have as mounds in the central and with its settlements around them. More than 200 Neolithic sites have been identified as a part of the Neolithic complex. These sites are found near the granite hills with water sources. These sites have been spotted in the river valleys of Godavari, Krishna, Penvaru, Tungabhadra, and Kaveri. Sanganakallu, Tekalkota, Brahmagiri, Muskin, Piklihal, Vatkal, Himaj, and Halwar in Karnataka. Nagarjuna Konda, Ramapuram, and Veerapuram in Andhra Pradesh, and Payambali in Tamil Nadu are the major Neolithic sites in South India. Some early Neolithic sites have ash mounds, Uttasur and Palwai in Andhra Pradesh, and Kodekal, Kupgal, and Bodhihal in Karnataka features ash mound sites. Soft ash and decomposed cow dung layers are also found at the site. The evidence of habitation in the form of houses and burials are found around the ash mound. Neolithic culture of northeastern India. In northeastern India, Neolithic culture appears at a very late period. The Neolithic culture of northeastern India generally dates from 2500 to 1500 BCE or even later. Shouldered axes and split kelts have been found at the sites in Assam, Meghalaya, Nagaland, and Arunachal Pradesh. Daujali, Halding, and Sartaru are the Neolithic sites in the Assam region. This region bears evidence from shifting civilization cultivations of yams and taro, building stone and wooden memories for the dead, and the presence of Ancestral language are the marked features of this region, which shows cultural similarities with Southeast Asia. The Indus civilization. The Indus civilization represents the first phase of urbanization in India. While the civilization was in its peak, several cultures, namely Mesolithic and Neolithic culture that was discussed earlier in the chapter, prevented in other part of India. Numeration phases in chronology. The civilization that appeared in the northwestern part of India and Pakistan in 3rd millennium BCE is collectively called the Indus civilization. Since the Harappa civilization, this cultivation did not appear all of a sudden. The beginning of a Neolithic village is in the since Harappa was the first site to be identified in this civilization, it is also known as Harappa civilization. This civilization did not appear all of the sudden. This beginning of the Neolithic village in this region go back to about 7000 BC at the Neolithic site of Mehergarh. Harappa culture is divided into various parts. Early Harappa, Mature Harappa, Late Harappa. Early Harappa's time period is 3000 to 600 BCE. Mature 2600 to 1900, 1900 to 700 BCE. The urban phase were prevalent in the mature Harappa period and began to decline after rebirth. The Indus Valley site of Harappa was first visited by Charles Mason in 1826 and Amri by Alexander Burns in 1835. The site of Harappa was destroyed for laying the railway line from Lahore to Multan. The seal from the site reached Alexander Gunigam, the first surveyor of the Archaeology Survey of India. ASI Alexander Gunigam visited the site of 1853, 1856 and 1875, but the importance of the site and the associated civilization were not realized until Sir John Marshall took over as Director General of ASI and initiated research of the site. Sir John Marshall played an important role in the development of archaeology in India. Later in the 1940, Mortimer Wheeler excavated the Harappa sites after the partition of the Indian subcontinent. Many of Harappa sites went to Pakistan and thus archaeologists were keen to trace the Harappa sites on the Indian side. Kalibanga, Lothal, Rakigadi and Dhaulavira are the Indian sites. They have been since excavated. The exploration and excavation conducted after the 1950s have helped to understand to Harappa civilization and its nature, geographical area and the settlements. The Indus civilization and the contemporary cultures covered nearly 1.5 million square kilometer area in India and Pakistan. The settlement of Sutkagendor in the west of the Pakistan-Iran border, Surtagai, Afghanistan in the north, Alamgirpur, Uttar Pradesh, India in the east, and Daimabad, Maharashtra, India in the south are the boundaries of the civilization. Its core area was in the region of Pakistan, Gujarat, Rajasthan, and Haryana. The early beginning. The Indus regions Mehergarh is one of the areas of the world where agriculture and animal domestication began very early. We do not know if there is any continuity between the Neolithic culture of the Indus region and the later urban civilization. The early Harappa phase saw the development of village and towns. The entire region in the mature Harappa phase, urban centers development, planned towns, Harappa, Punjab, Pakistan, Mohenjo-daro, Sindh, Pakistan, Dhaulavira, Lothal and Sutkagandur, Gujarat, India, Kalibanga and Banwali, Rajasthan, India, and Rakhigadi, Haryana, India are the major cities in the Harappa period. Fortification, well-planned streets and lanes and dynamics are noticed in the Harappa towns. A civic authority perhaps controlled the planning of the towns. The Harappan used baked and unbaked bricks and stones for construction. The town had a grid pattern and drains were systematically built. The houses were built of mud bricks while the drainers were built with burnt bricks. Houses had more than one floor. The sites of Mohenjo-daro had a planned town built on a platform. It has two districts area. One is identified as the cathedral and another as the lower town. The houses and had bathroom paved with burnt bricks and proper drains. Some houses had stairs indicating the existence of an upper floor. Houses had multiple rooms. Many of the houses had a central courtyard with rooms all around the cathedral area had important resident structures that were either used by a public street resident. This is the places of Indus cities and towns. In Mohenjo-daro, a building has been identified as a warehouse. The Great Bath is a tank situated within a courtyard. The corridors were present on all four sides and stairs are seen on the northern and southern sides. It was well paved with several adjacent rooms. Some structures are identified as generally the bricks were laid watertight with gypsum mortar. It had drains. It is associated with a ritual bath. The structure identified as a generally great bath should be seen as the archaeologist's interpretations. Substance and economic production. Agriculture was an important source of substance for the Harappa Sabhata. The Harappa's cultivation diverse crops such as wheat, barley, leaden, chickpea, sesame, and various millets. Agriculture surplus was an important stimulus for a number of developments. They adopted a double cropping system. The Harappa used plugged. They perhaps plugged the land and they sowed the seeds. Plugged in field have been found at Kalibanga. They used both canal and well irrigation. Archaeobotanists study ancient agriculture and human and environmental relationship. Animal domestication. Pastoralism was also practiced by the Harappans. They domesticated sheep, goat, and fowl. They had knowledge of various other animals, including buffalo, pig, and elephant, but horse was not known to them. The Harappa cattle are called zebu. It is a large breed often represented in their sheaths. They also ate fish and birds. Evidence of boar, deer, and gharial has been found at the Harappa sites. Craft production. Craft production was an important part of the Harappa economy. Bead and ornament making, shell bangle making, and metalworking were the major craft. They made beads and ornament out of the carnelian, jasper, crystal, and sterile metals like copper, bronze, and gold, and shell fans and terracotta or burnt clay. The beads were made in innumerable designs and decorations. They were exported to Mesopotamia, and the evidence for such exported artifacts have been found from the excavation in Mesopotamia. Certain Harappa sites specialized in the production of certain craft materials. The following table presents the major centers of craft production: Shell, Nageshwar and Balakot, Lapis Lazuli, so Shortagai, site of source, Carnelian, Lothal, Statite, South Rajasthan, Copper Rajasthan, and Oman. Poetry. The Harappa used diverse varieties of oral poetry for daily use. They use well-fired poetry. Their poetry have a deep red slip and black painting. The poetry was shaped like dish on stand stores, jars. Perform jars Goblet-shaped jars, plates, dishes, bowls, and pots. The painted motifs generally noticed on the pottery are people, leaves, fish, skull design, intersecting circles, zigzag lines, horizontal bands, and geometrical motifs with floral and funnel patterns. The Harappan pottery is well baked and fine. Its decoration, metal tools, and weapons. The Harappa civilization belonged to the Bronze Age civilization, and Harappa knew how to make copper bronze tools. Although they produced bronze implements, they needed various kinds of tools for agriculture and craft production. The Harappa used charred blades, copper objects, and bone and in ivory tools. The tools of points, chisels, needles, fish hooks, razors, wining pans, mirror, and antimony rods were made of copper. The charred blades made out of rory chart was used. The Harappans. Their weapons include arrowheads, spearhead, celt, and axe. They did not have the knowledge of iron. Rory chart. The chart, a fine grained sedimentary rock, was found in the region of Rohri in Pakistan. It was used by the Harappans of making stone blade and tools. Textiles and ornaments. The Harappan were cloths and used metals or stone ornaments. They had knowledge of cotton and silk. The image identified as a priest is depicted wearing a shawl-like cloth with flower decoration. The terracotta images of women are shown wearing different types of ornaments. The image of dancing girl found at Mohenjo-daro is shown wearing bangles and large numbers of the upper arm. They made carnelian, copper, and gold ornaments. Some of them had etched designs and they exported them to the Mesopotamia. Word finance, stoneware, and shell bangles were also used. The ornaments produced were earlier sold on the exchange as part of the trade activities. Trade and exchange. One of the sources of Harappa economy was trade and exchange activities. Harappan had close trade contacts with the Mesopotamia and also with various cultures of India. The Harappan seals and materials have been found in the Sumerian sites in Oman, Bahrain, and Iraq and Iran. The cuneiform inscription mentioned the trade contact between Mesopotamia and Harappan. The mention of Meluha in the cuneiform inscription refers to the Indus region. A Harappan jar has been found in Oman. Harappa seals, wheat, dyes, and beads are found in Mesopotamia. Canadian lapis lazuli, copper, gold, and varieties of wood were exported to Mesopotamia. Harappans also interacted with various regions of India and acquired raw materials and processed them. Weight and measures. Harappan had developed proper weight and measures since they were involved in commercial transactions. They needed standard measures. Cubical chart weight have been unearned from Harappan sites. The weight exists a binary system. The ratio of weight in doubled as 1 ratio 2 ratio 4 ratio 8 ratio 16 ratio 13 to the small weight measures of 16th ratio weights 13.63 grams. They also used a measuring scale in which one of inch was around 1.75 centimeter. Weights made of chart were cubical. They used binary number system 1 2 4 8 16 32 etc. They might have been used for weighting jewelry and metal sheets. Seeing and description. The seals from various media such as tight copper, terracotta, and ivory, and frequently found in the Harappa site. The Harappa script has not yet been convincingly deciphered. About 5,000 texts have been documented from the Harappan site. The longest text has about 26 signs. Some scholars are the view that is the Dravidian seals might have been used as an identity marker. The materials that have the transported they might have been indicated the ownership. Arts and amusement. The terracotta figurines, the painting on the poetry on the bronze image from the Harappan site suggests the artistic nature of the Harappan. The precious king of statite dancing girl of copper both from Mohenjo-daro and stone sculptures from Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, and Dhaulavira are the important objects of art. Toy carts, rattles, wheels, tops, marbles, and head sculptures exhibit the amusement of the Harappan people, faith and belief system. The Indus people worshipped nature. The worship the people tree. Some of the terracotta figures appear to the mother goddess. Fire altars have been identified. The Kalibanga, they buried the dead. Burnals were made elaborately, and evidence of cremation in also reported. The Harappa burials have pottery, ornaments, jewelry, copper mirrors, and beads. They suggest their brief in an artificial poetry. Polity. Uniform in polity sees weight and bricks reverse The existence of a poetry labor mobilization may also suggest the existence of a political system. Harappa and Mohenjo-daro might have had a city state like polity. The uniformity in the culture, materials, and measurement units point to a central authority during the Harappa time. Authorship and the making of India culture. One school of thought argues that the authors of Harappa civilization were speakers of the Dravidian language. The archaeological evidence shows movement of the Harappa to the east and the south after the decline of their civilization. Some of the Harappan people could have moved into different parts of India. However, only the decipherment of the script would give us a definite answer. Contemporary cultures of the Indus civilization. Several groups, including pastoral people, farmers, and hunter-gatherers, lived in the Indus region. The Indus regions had villages and large towns. The population of that time was mixed. Innumerable communities of hunter-gatherers, pastoral people, and farmers from Kanyakumari to Kashmir and Gujarat to Arunachal Pradesh could have existed during the period. Their histories are also equally important, and culture and ecological knowledge of all these groups contributed to Indian culture. While the Indus civilization was flourishing in the northwestern part of India, several cultures were developing in different parts of India. In the southern part of the subcontinent, Kerala and Sri Lanka were given to hunting and gathering. The Harappans, who had knowledge of water powers, might have been connection and interaction with South India, but no clear archaeological evidence on this is available. The northern part of South India, that is the Karnataka and Andhra region, had a Neolithic culture engaged in pastoralism and plug agriculture. Similarly, the Chalcolithic culture were prevalent in Deccan and Western India, while Neolithic culture permeated northern India, including Kashmir, Ganges Valley, and central and eastern India. Thus, India was a culture mostly during the time of Harappa decline. The Indus Valley civilization declined from about 1900 BCE. Changes in climate, decline of the trade with the Mesopotamia, and the drying of the river and water resources due to continuous drought are some of the reasons attributed by historians for the decline. Inventions, floods, and shifting of the river course are also cited as reasons for the ruin on the Indus civilization. In course of time, the people shifted to the southern and eastern directions from the Indus region. The Indus civilization and Tamil civilization. The Indus civilization represents the first urbanization of Indian history. The origin of and authorship of the Indus civilization are keenly debated historical questions. The Indus script has not yet been consecutively described, and hence the ownership is not certain. The graphical found on the megalithic Burmese pots of South India and the place name presented are cities to establish the relationship between Indus and Tamil culture. The archaeology evidence points to several groups of people living in Tamil Nadu and South India continuously from the Mesolithic period. One cannot rule out of the migration of a few groups from the Indus region. More research to necessary from arriving any density conclusion. The towns of ancient Tamism, such as Arikamedu, Kezadi, and Urainur and Flores, are part of the second organization of India, and these towns are quite different from the Indus cities. Summary here. First, the history of India began in the prehistoric times about 2 million years ago. Second, numerous group of people moved into the land from the prehistorical times. These groups adapted to their environment and created a specific way to live according to the ecological model. People who made had access lived in India from 2 million years ago. Various communities occupied the entire breadth and width of the country from the Mesolithic times and laid the culture for foundation of India. The combined contribution of all these groups contributed in India pluralistic culture day. The diverse language and cultures of India reveal the complex process associated with Indian history. The first urbanization emerged around the Indus Valley civilization about 2600 BCE, while Indus Valley civilization was a major culture system in northwestern India. Several cultures existing across India contemporary. This is the exercise. I hope you will listen me. अब आप लोग के सारे क्वेश्चन आंसर्स हैं, इसको सॉल्व करिएगा. मेन की आपकी तैयारी इसी से है. ये कुछ क्वेश्चंस है, आई होप आपको दिखाई दे रहे होंगे. शॉर्ट है. जिन बच्चों ने भाई ग्रुप को ज्वाइन कर लिया है, क्लास ज्वाइन कर ली है, उनके लिए विशिंग ऑल द बेस्ट। जिन बच्चों ने नहीं ज्वाइन किया उनसे रिक्वेस्ट है कि वो जल्द से जल्द क्लास को ज्वाइन करें। मैंने आपके लिए क्वेश्चन आंसर्स पढ़ लिए हैं, आपको क्वेश्चन दिखा भी रही हूँ। इस तरीके के क्वेश्चन हैं सारे चैप्टर, अगर आपने ध्यान से पढ़ा है तो आप सारी चीज़ें कर लेंगे। थैंक यू सो मच, विशिंग यू ऑल द बेस्ट।